All right. Morning, everybody. It's Aaron again from Heartland Counseling here to talk to you a little bit more about what's going on with the virus and what we can do to kind of keep ourselves healthy. Um, as many of you know, uh, if you don't know by now, then you'll find out soon enough that school has been canceled for the remainder of the year or for the remainder of the school year, and all the activities and everything are going to be suspended, as far as I know. Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that and kind of some of the feelings that people might be having as a result of that. Um, there might be a sense of loss because of, particularly for people, for seniors or for anybody, that's on a team, um, had activities planned, just anything, like a class they really enjoyed, but they're not going to be able to finish the way that they wanted to. There might be a sense of loss there, and you might be, with that loss, you might be going through a grieving process. And people tend to think about grief as only um, like when a loved one dies or when a pet dies. But it's grief can be a lot of different things. Like it can be just the loss of a relationship, the loss of a job. In this case, like loss of certain activities at school, certain opportunities at school, uh, just different things. Can cause the grief process. Um, and there's this isn't a set in stone thing, but there's a very good theory out there um, that they came out with about the 5 stages of grief. I have them written down because otherwise I'll forget them. Um, but it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And they say that people kind of tend to go through each one of those stages of grief when they are dealing with something. It's not necessarily a linear fashion. Like it's not going to go from denial to acceptance. Like you're not going to necessarily go through. You're not going to get down to bargaining and then next is going to be depression. Like you might reverse itself. You might go back up to denial. I mean, there's no right way or wrong way to experience these things. Um, and some of the examples that you might be feeling right now with this situation in particular, um, like with denial, like you might be thinking, like everybody else is getting sick. I'm not going to get sick because I'm young and healthy. Um, so why do I have to do this? And then that kind of feeds into the anger. Like, why am I having to stay at home? Why am I having to do this? Um, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm fine. Other people can do the social distancing, but I need to go out and do what I want to do. Um, then that might take you to bargaining, like where, like, well, if we do this for a couple of weeks, then everything can get back to normal because everything will, as they say, the curve will have flattened, and everything will be back to normal. Then depression would be the next stage. Again, going in a linear fashion, which again, that's not always the case with this. Um, we just might not know when or how any of this is going to end. I mean, we don't know at this point when it's going to end. Just being honest, we don't know. I mean, it seems like it's getting better in other parts of the world, and we're following some of the same steps that they are. And I do know that like Washington State and California, they were two hot spots originally. Things are starting to turn around for them. So there might be some hope that, maybe things are going to start to get better, but we don't know just yet. Um, and then acceptance is just, we have to figure out how to proceed with all this. There's no right or wrong way to move forward as long as we're moving forward, I guess. Um, it's perfectly okay to feel bad about your situation. It's perfectly okay to feel bad about missing out on certain things at school, certain activities, sports or prom or whatever the case may be. Um, that's perfectly normal to feel bad about that. And I would encourage you to express those feelings, but I don't want you to get stuck in those feelings either, because if we get stuck in them, then we're in quicksand and we can't get out, and we're just going to keep going deeper and deeper And we just have to relax and accept that what's going to happen is what's going to happen, and be able to move forward from that. And they actually, I should have written this down to you, but they wrote down they came up with a 6-step. One of the people that did the original study just came up with a book last year, and it's talking about finding meaning in grief. And so I would encourage you all to find meaning in these situations, whether that's reestablishing old relationships, spending more time with mom and dad, or your siblings, or your significant other, planning ahead for the future. Maybe taking time to clean your room up, because I'm sure a lot of your parents are probably always on your case if you're anything like me when I was growing up about cleaning your room. And building those relationships and getting things accomplished, like taking this as a positive, like you've got a lot more free time. So if there's something that you've been meaning to do, that's healthy and going to keep you going forward, then maybe take some time to do that. I've got stuff at home that I need to organize, so I'm going to take time this week and get that done because I can't go anywhere else. So there's just a lot of different things that we can do. And then another thing is just reminding yourself that everybody else is going through the same thing too, and that people's tempers might be a little bit shorter. Somebody that might normally be, like a good friend, or somebody that you normally get along with just fine, they might just be a little bit on edge because of everything that's going on. And I'd encourage you not to take those kinds of situations personally. People, when they get stressed out, we get short, we say things that we don't normally mean or we wouldn't normally say. It's just in a unique situation, and we're all just kind of trying to fumble through this and figure this out. And there are going to be some times where, myself included, where I'm going to say things or do things that I wouldn't normally do. And I'm a pretty laid back person. I don't get angry too often. But my mouth does say things that I don't mean them to say, or mean for it to say sometimes, because I'm not thinking, or I come across in a different way than I intend to, and I might upset people. And if you feel like somebody is doing that, just, if you're able to, just approach them and say, hey, like, what's going on? Or just leave them alone and just remind yourself that, this isn't normally like them. They're just stressed out because of what's going on right now. It's going to happen. People are just going to get a little bit upset. And we just have to kind of be mindful and be patient with one another. And then I had a quote too that I just found this before we went live. And I think it's really appropriate for what we're going through. This is from Anne Frank, and if you don't know who Anne Frank was, she was, forget exactly how old she was, but she was a teenager in Amsterdam that was Jewish during World War II, and they had to hide in the attic to keep away from the German forces and the Nazis, because otherwise they would have been sent to concentration camps. She wrote a diary while she was up there. It's been reprinted and reproduced, and you may have to read it for high school English class. I'm not sure anymore. But I just saw this quote and I thought it was really nice. Thinking about her situation too, that she knew that every day she was going to be facing death. She said, I don't think of all the misery, but of all the beauty that remains. And I think that's really a good thing to do right now, because there's a lot of bad things going on right now in the world. If you watch the news, it's kind of scary. But if you turn the TV off, turn your phone off, go outside, and just be present outside, and just, today it's beautiful out there this morning. Like, if you're able to, I would definitely encourage you to go outside and just, if you're able to, just leave your phone inside and just spend 5 minutes just listening to the birds and watching the clouds, and just give yourself a chance to relax and just be present in the moment and not worry about anything else. Um, and then last thought, I don't have a bad joke today because I forgot to come up with one, but I do have some suggestions that my coworkers and I came up with about some possible alternatives that you guys can do on your own, for particularly for prom, or for anything that you might be missing in 2020. Um, I'm sure some of you have probably seen the TikTok proms online. Maybe that's something that you guys could all put together. Just make a mashup of Cardinal prom 2020. And just do a big TikTok of that and have that as a something where people are still doing the social distancing. Just do it from your home, and there's got to be people out there that are smarter than I am with computers that can put all that stuff together and make a compilation video. Having a literal pity party. Just having, like, once everything gets settled and everything, just, everybody in the senior class or everybody in activities or whatever, just getting together, and just acknowledging, like, hey, this sucks, what happened, but, we're going to have a party. We're going to make the best of it, just chips and pop and pizza and just have some fun, just do something different. And then hindsight is always 2020. And since it's the year 2020, be able to look back on this. And I mean, you guys are going to be more well prepared, I think, than a lot of people, a lot of other classes, because you've had to go through such an unusual circumstance here. And I have high hopes for everybody that's going through this right now, because nobody alive really has ever been through this, and we're going to make it through it together, and we'll be able to look back on this and really, hopefully, come together as a nation and as a world, and be able to do something positive with all of this. So yeah, just take a look back at this, try to be mindful, try to take care of yourselves and stay healthy.